My husband and I ended up having 3 miscarriages. And like that last one was so bad that we thought that maybe they were twins. But after we tried so many times, my body just wouldn't cooperate. And so I had to get a hysterectomy. It was like not too long after the hysterectomy. I think I got the hysterectomy in August. And then in November, I had this major attack in my GI system. And like initially it started off with like indigestion and acid reflux stuff. I had a hernia, so I knew that was an issue. I had already been taking some stuff for my stomach, just from some issues I already had, from like the fibromyalgia and other stuff. Anyway, so it started off, it was in my chest, and it just seemed like down my whole GI tract, it was like messed up. Intense pain in my stomach. I was vomiting, nauseous. Sometimes the smell of food, the taste of food, not eating food, stuff would make me, just make me throw up. All those things would make me throw up. It would also cause like intense pain. Then I couldn't go normally. Then I had hemorrhoids, and it felt like something was like cutting up my intestines, and at times, and then other times it felt like somebody was wringing out my intestine. It was like, oh, like somebody just taking and just like squeezing my intestine. It was intense. Did I mention hemorrhoids? Bloody stool. It was bad. It was really bad. I had like a lot of hospital visits, a lot of doctor's visits, trying different medications, different procedures, blood work, exams, scans. But the one procedure that was like, it changed my world, y'all. Like, I was devastated. I had to do a barium enema. And I had to drink the barium. It's already bad because I had to go through the procedure to prep for the procedure. Go through the process to prep for the procedure, which included like, I want to say I had to fast for a while, and then I had to take the barium, so that it would show up, work its way through my system and show up. And so they could see what was going on in my system, see where there was blockage, or see where they could see what they can see as far as like where the issues were. Anyway, so what they do is they stick an instrument up your rectum, and you're wide awake during the procedure. I don't even think did they give me anything for pain? I don't think so. They didn't feel like it. But anyway, so they stick an instrument up your rectum, and they have to get to a certain part, and then it's like they blow it up. They blow up a balloon inside of your intestine somewhere, in your colon somewhere, and then they look, like blow up the balloon so they could look inside and see where the blockage is or whatever. So it was already bad enough just prepping for the procedure, but once the procedure started, I immediately started having pain. And this was, I want to say it was like the smallest probe that they had, but I'm sorry if this is graphic, but it I think it felt like maybe a pole was going on my body. And then that was bad enough, and I had to stay in a certain position. Then once they got in there, which was already hard enough, they still had to blow up the balloon. So, I still feel a ways. I still feel a ways. Just talking about it. I started sweating. I got so hot and just, it's like I was hyperventilating and I just started crying, and it was like, ooh, I really felt like that they were going to bust me, open. And then when it was done, I couldn't walk right for a little while. I couldn't sit down without pain. It was like, that procedure was devastating. Then I had the surgery. I guess it was sometime like that next year I had ended up having the surgery, because we still were trying other things, like still trying to figure out what was going on, still trying to do medicines, change my diet, just we try everything. And I ended up just having to have the surgery. It was like no other choice. And the blockage in my intestine, colon area was getting so bad that it was probably only a matter of time before it was no longer like an elective option. Like they were gonna probably end up just having to go in and cut off from in an emergency type situation if I didn't choose to do it sooner before it worsened. But anyway, so I had the surgery, and after the recovery, started to get better. And that's when I really just went full on with this quest. I knew, what my purpose was at that point, and I knew what I needed to do. I'd already started collecting recordings of my father's sermons and recording our conversations, and I just was, just trying to put this whole puzzle piece together, and just just try to regain some sense of control, some control over my health and my diet and all of that stuff. But I knew, there's this, they call it visceral pain, and it's like, it's pain that is spread, from your chest area and into your pelvic and your anus area, your anal area. And I felt like we tried all of these things. We tried the medication, we tried the procedures, we tried the surgery. And to me, it just seemed like there was a little more that needed to be done. That maybe this was both a natural thing and a spiritual thing. In that this attack that was happening viscerally, in the natural, was something that needed to also be handled in the same way in a spiritual sense. So to make that make sense, when we got to the point where I tried everything, diet changes, exercise, rest, surgery, procedures, medication, and it got to the point where you have to cut out, basically you have to cut out the infection, cut out the part that is causing the pain in the whole system, if that makes sense. And so thinking about it on that level and realizing that there is a spiritual component to this, that while this was happening to me on a natural level, it was also happening to me spiritually. That this same pain that I was experiencing in my gut, in the natural, was the same pain that I was experiencing in the gut of my soul, my spirit. And that if I was going to cut it out in the natural sense, then that's probably what I need to do in the spiritual sense too. And so where this comes in on the spiritual aspect of it is my father. It was witnessing that abuse, witnessing the manipulation. I would have panic attacks while I was sitting right there in church while he was preaching. In my spirit, there was panic. In my natural body, there was panic. There was this feeling of unease, of like sickened. You know, like there's infection there. And no, like medication didn't help. Diet changes didn't help. Rest, exercise, praying about it. The answer was cutting it out. And so what I needed to do was cut out the source of the infection. And that was my father. That was my father, the narcissistic pastor. The controller, the manipulator, the pulpit pimp, the Bible bully, the wolf in sheep's clothing, the con artist. It's time to cut out the infection. But not only that, it's time to tell our truth about this sickness. So maybe if I talk about it, then you won't have to experience it. Or maybe if you're experiencing it, then you'll realize that there's hope. And then once you realize that there's hope, then maybe you could tell your truth. And you can get better. And maybe you can help someone else. But for now, I'll go first. I'll tell my truth. And then you can tell yours. Will you take some deep breaths with me? Just breathe in deeply. Just blow it out. Ooh. Let's do that again. Ooh. And just blow it out. This is heavy, y'all. That's for sure. But I was made for this. So I'll go first, and I'll tell my truth. But until then, God loves you, and so do I. Bye-bye for now.